My grandpa sold his ranch for $3.5 million, handing it all to my dad to care for him. He begged, but one stormy night, Dad threw him out like trash. Can you imagine watching your family through the cold lens of a security camera, only to witness an act so cruel, so utterly devoid of humanity it rips your world apart? I saw my own father, his face a mask of stone, shove my trembling grandfather out into a raging storm. And my mother stood there watching, silent. It was a moment of pure, gut-wrenching betrayal that night, and it changed everything. My name's Caleb. I'm 25, and I live in Billings, Montana, one of those small cities nestled amongst endless fields, where dusty roads snake past dairy farms and weathered houses. It's not glamorous, but it has a soul, you know? Fiery red sunsets, winds carrying the scent of dry grass, and people who live slowly, tied to the land. I drive Uber, ferrying folks around in my old pickup. It's enough to get by, and it gives me time to drive over an hour to Sheridan County, Wyoming, to the family ranch where my grandfather, Warren Ellison, lived alone. That ranch, it wasn't just a piece of land. It was an entire world. Hundreds of acres where cattle grazed, an old barn standing tall beside the weathered wooden house. It was the Ellison family legacy, passed down through generations, steeped in the sweat and love of those who lived and died for it. To me, it was where I grew up. It's where Grandpa taught me how to milk cows, fix fences, and, most importantly, how to live with kindness and integrity. Caleb, he'd say, his voice warm and steady, land isn't just something to own. It's something to preserve, to tell your family's story. Grandpa Warren was a rugged, weathered man, but full of compassion. At 78, he still carried the air of a true rancher. Calloused hands, a face etched with wrinkles like a map of his life, and bright eyes, though dimmed by age. He was once the strongest man I knew, but in recent years I'd noticed him weakening. His hands trembled, his steps grew slower, and his voice no longer carried its old resonance. My grandmother passed away 6 years ago, leaving a gaping hole in his heart. I still remember the day she died, him sitting on the porch, staring at the fields, silent, quietly wiping away tears. From then on, he lived alone. But he wasn't truly alone. He had his cattle, his fields, his memories of Grandma. And he had me. I drove up to Sheridan County often, just to visit him, helping with small tasks, fixing pipes, cleaning the barn, or just sitting with him, listening to his stories. His tales always began with, "Back when your grandmother and I were young," and ended with a lesson about honesty, love, or living without regrets. He was strict, but I never saw him angry without reason. He always taught me that honor and family tradition were worth more than money. "Caleb," he once said, placing a hand on my shoulder, "a man doesn't need to be rich, but he must live so others respect him." Not everyone in the family shared his values. My father, Mark Ellison, was the complete opposite. At 52, he'd grown up on the ranch but despised the farming life from... Full story video added in below.